everybody? Welcome back. I appreciate all the love and support over the past couple weeks. It's been a interesting couple weeks too. The House and the Senate, well, pretty much the Capitol in general, they're going on their spring break. So I figured I'd do a recap of the votes I had on this week and maybe talk about my interview with Bryce Lockwood last week. I did the interview on Friday and then I released it on the 11th on Wednesday. Just give me some time to edit and whatnot. But I'm gonna look at my notes here because I can't remember all the numbers for the bills. There's so much. The House, they were putting in work this week, trying to get as much cranked out as they could before they went on spring break. So let me go to my notes here on my document. I've been lacking. So we'll start off the bills that went to the governor, and then we'll work our way down. So you got House Bill 2014, which is the supplemental budget, and it's over $3.1 billion, and it's supposed to fill in the 86 million extra general fund that goes to St. Louis for the tornado relief. Because I don't think they fully recovered their funds or the rebuild process from the past few years when we had those tornadoes go through. So it passed through the House and the Senate unanimously. So I don't see the governor's going to have a problem signing off on it. Yeah, it was 137-13. So they did make some tweaks and adjustments to it. There was concern about the fiscal cliff and making sure they have enough money, but I think something like that's kind of non-negotiable. You have to take care of your people, especially when it comes to emergency relief. And my next favorite thing that we're waiting on for him to sign is House Bill 1908, and that is for pregnant women. That gives them the right to file for divorce and get divorced while they're pregnant. So in 1974 in Missouri, they were not allowed. A law passed in 1974 that if you were pregnant, you cannot divorce your spouse. And to me, that's wrong. You're not owned. So you don't know the relationship the person's in. If they're in an abusive relationship and they're pregnant, that's dangerous for both lives. You claim the administration, they do claim to be pro life, but then, 74, they passed laws, and then up until now, saying that they couldn't divorce if they were pregnant. I understand their concern for child custody, but they're grown and they're married, whether they're pregnant or not. That shouldn't be the government's business to say you can't get a divorce. So I'm glad they're finally changing their mind and they're getting rid of that, because to me that never made any sense to begin with. And the next home run to me is Senate Bill 888. I just call it 888. But they really did an overhaul on the juvenile justice. So if it's a felony crime or a very heinous crime, whether it's like sodomy, rape, or murder, there's weapons involved, drugs involved, they're going to try them as an adult. And the Democrats did protest on this, which they took the L on this one, in my opinion. They protested it, saying, well, we need to give them second chances. What about the juveniles? They deserve a second chance. Okay, if you're 14, 16 years old, you know right from wrong. So if you decide to do a drive-by in a neighborhood, or you rape somebody, or you stab somebody to death, you don't deserve a second chance. You know what you're doing. To me, that's ridiculous. But they did change all the definitions, and so now a lot of this slap on the wrist and letting them go, because we're seeing this in St. Louis, Jeff City, Kansas City. A lot of the gang members are becoming significantly younger, and they should be held accountable. Hopefully, we only have to use a handful to make an example out of, and the rest of them, get the picture, and it'll kind of cut down on some of the crime. But one could only hope. And it was one of the most lightning fast bills approved, even though some of the Democrats protested it. It zipped through. Let's see here. Let me read directly for you. The House Committee to public hearing and 9-7 vote the same day, Tuesday, which Democrats called unprecedented and rushed this session. So they did slam the project because by 2029, it's going to increase the cost to up to 870 million. Excuse me. It could also hit a 1 billion tax increase. So, and they're already wanting to get rid of the income tax and cut more. So that is the one legitimate argument that the Democrats did have, is that we've been preaching fiscal responsibility and remove income tax and a smaller government, defund the government, and then they pass this. So I do see the contradiction, but to me, I do feel like it's necessary. So we go down to the house, and man, they put out a lot. I lost track. So I just found ones that kind of had some juice to them to go over. Because if I go through every single one of them, this is going to be like a 4 hour long video. And I don't want to do that. And you guys don't want to sit here and watch me do that either. So we'll start with House Bill 3146 on the ballot language. So last year, I think it was like Senate Bill 22. Let me look real quick. Yes, Senate Bill 22. So last year they called it Let Politicians Lie Act as a joke. And then the Supreme Court of Missouri shot it down, and they were all upset because they didn't get their way. Now it's the Let Politicians Lie Act, the sequel, is what they're calling it. So right now it passed 90 to 55 on March 11th. And what this does is it gives the Secretary of State, Denny Hoskins, 3 shots to rewrite challenged ballot summaries / fiscal notes before a judge can step in. So again, we have our checks and balances. There's the 3 branches of government. I don't really see this going any further than what it is now. It didn't last year. The Republicans just try to stunt like this a few months ago. I think I talked about on one of my shows, and they were boo-hooing out in front of the Capitol, saying that the judges setting the brick houses all high and mighty. Like, yeah, that's the point. It's to hold you guys accountable, to make sure you guys don't vote in stupid crap like this. So let me see here. So it expands the word limit to 100 and tweaks the appeal process and applies the citizen initiative. So I think this is the beginning of the death of 1,000 cuts, where eventually the Missouri government's going to get rid of the citizen initiatives. I mean, they're already not implementing what we vote on anyway. So if you look at the sick time, we voted for that. They got rid of that. And as much as I'm against abortion, people voted it in. I have to respect that whether I like it or not. It was voted in by general population. And now they're wanting to bring back Amendment 3 and rewrite a bunch of stuff. So I do get people's frustration, and the citizen initiative, they're going to eventually get rid of it. They don't even follow it anyway. So, and here the Supreme Court has already claimed that it's just retaliation for striking it down last year. So I don't think it's going to get very far. So then the big one today is the House Joint Resolution 173 with the 174 elements that's been all over the news, and that is the removal of the state income tax. So I'm against it. I know quite a few people are against it, and also some people are for it, but I have to reiterate again that income tax is about the only fair tax Missouri has. If you make more money, you pay more. If you make less, you pay less. And they're wanting to remove that, and they've talked about it. It was on the 10th and the 11th. They are for sure slapping that on the sales tax, and Missouri is a regressive tax state. So what that means is lower income housing, lower income families have to pay more in sales tax. They use more consumer goods, and it takes up more of their income. And so now that's going to increase. And already things are becoming unaffordable, and it's only going to get worse. There was a bunch of education packages as far as they lowered some of the testing ages for hold on, let me see. I don't want to re-speak on it, for literacy. So it screens kids kindergarten through 3rd grade for reading issues, and then if they do have reading issues, there'll be a mandated intervention. So I think they just lowered the age a little bit to try and catch it ahead of time. Nothing too crazy. And then there was another House bill where it cuts redundant annual training for teachers once they've been employed there for 3 years. So that is pretty neat because there are some teachers that do a really good job. They've been doing it for a very long time, and they shouldn't have to go through the same training as somebody who's been there for 1 year. So I understand that. So back to the income tax. There was a representative, I think Mackey was his name, Democrat. He got on during the debate on income tax, and he made a comment that he hopes that the state goes bankrupt just so the Republicans can learn a lesson and the Democrats could take over. So that was going all over social media. There was only like a 10-second at the most, maybe even 5-second clip of him saying this. I'm afraid it was taken out of context. But I'm going to try out something new on here, and you and I are going to figure out together whether this was taken out of context. This was March 10th when they were talking about the joint resolution. March 10th at 11:07 a.m. So let me move over here. Here we go.
The income tax is a no-brainer. Please support the gentleman's HJR. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Further discussion, gentleman from Hopping, St. Louis.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To speak on the bill.
Proceed, gentleman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Okay. Let's set the record straight, as the gentleman just said. Democrats not supporting tax cuts. Are you kidding me? I filed legislation to get rid of sales tax on groceries. I know some people support that in here. I voted yes just a week or so ago on some of these properties.
So what he's referring to, which I spoke about a long time ago, I'm a big fan of, and that is House Bill 2253 from Jacqueline Zimmerman out of St. Louis, where she wanted to remove the sales tax on retail groceries instead of the income tax. So we spend more on the groceries now more than ever. So I think that was the one true relief. And it was only for retail groceries at, say, your grocery store. You couldn't go to a restaurant and get your sales tax taken off on that. So I was a big fan of that. They read it once, they read it twice, and then it was never assigned to a committee. So it's dead in the water, and it's not going to happen. And they're probably going to remove state income tax. Anyway.
Property tax decrease bills, much to the chagrin of some of my caucus members, but there's plenty of us that support tax cuts when they're done right. Cory Booker at the federal level wants to get rid of income taxes on anybody in America making less than $75,000. I support that. I'm not for this tax cuts are partisan. No, thank you. No. There's plenty of tax cuts we support. Let's talk about Tennessee. When Tennessee eliminated their income tax, it made up 1% of their state budget. 1%. Our income tax makes up over 60% of our state budget. What a silly analogy, folks. What a silly analogy. Okay, I'm going to vote no on this because it's really bad legislation. But y'all, I really hope it passes. I really hope it passes. It was clear the governor, this was his top priority during campaign season. That's all the ads were on television. This is what he wanted to do. He got elected. I kind of think if you get elected, and your party's in charge, your number one priority should get done. I mean, I'm for that. Let's get it done. I hope it passes here. I hope it passes the Senate. I hope it goes on the ballot. I hope voters approve it the way they approved of Governor Kehoe when he proposed it. And then I hope what happens is we go bankrupt, everything falls apart, we get what we deserve, and then Democrats come back to reign. That's what I hope happens. Best case scenario. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, gentlemen. Further discussion, gentleman from Clay County.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To speak on the resolution, please.
Proceed.
Well, I don't think that was taken out of context very much. I don't think I like giving him benefit of the doubt. I'd like to say that's not what he actually meant. He could have worded it better. So, yeah. Hold on. I think there was some drama on X about this too. Let's see here. Whoops. So here we have Nick Schroer, Missouri Democrats in the Missouri House just said roughly at 11:10 a.m. they hope Missouri goes bankrupt so they can get Democrats back in charge. Yes, they want the state to suffer and disabled Missourians to suffer only so they can obtain power again. This deranged mindset shows. And then the guy who we just seen speak, Ian Mackey, said, "That was me. And if y'all keep on, that's what's going to happen. Reap what you sow. I can't stop you, or I would. Since I can't, I'll be here cheering on your nonsense." So Ian wants to smoke. At least he's standing on it. I will give him that. At least he's standing on it. So let me see. As you guys can see, I'm trying out a new background, the green screen feature. I don't know how long it's going to last, or I'm having mixed feelings about it. And then, as you guys seen, my most popular video here lately was my interview with retired Marine Sergeant Bryce Lockwood. He was the only Marine survivor from the USS Liberty attack, and he lives here in Missouri. So I was really stoked to go meet him. The funny backstory to that is I've been real big on the whole Liberty story past couple years after seeing it in the mainstream media and everything, and I've really took a deep dive into it. And I bring it up a lot. And then one of my close friends I've known for the better part of 4 years, uh, he used to work on the honor flights and whatnot. And one day he was showing me pictures where he went to go to an event that honored the Tuskegee Airmen in Columbia. And he's showing me pictures of the different veterans that he knows. And he goes, "Oh, well, this is Bryce, and he was on the Liberty." What? "Oh, yeah, he was on the Liberty," and just keep swiping. Like, no, 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 go back. How many times have I talked about the Liberty? So, well, I didn't think it was that important. Like, dude, how about you give him a call and see if he'll talk to me? So it was because of him, and then Charlie Guthrie, who's a former county commissioner in Saline County. They really stuck their neck out for me. I'll never forget it. But we went down there that Friday to Springfield. Bryce was nice enough to invite me into his home. And yeah, it was a day I'll never forget. It's crazy. All it takes is one person to believe in you or to support you to give you something really good to go off of. And that, man, Bryce is something else. That's an amazing story. And it touches you. It really does. Regardless of the shortcomings or conspiracies that surround it, we all have our own beliefs. I'm sure everybody probably knows mine. But 34 servicemen were killed, 174 wounded. There's been a debate whether it's the 171 to 174. The number escalates in combat like that. So it is 174 now. At the time, a while back, it was 171. But I have started a petition. It would be awesome for Missouri to recognize June 8th as USS Liberty Remembrance Day. And I don't think it would take much. There isn't any fiscal responsibility. It's just a remembrance day that they put on the calendar. It's not like it's a state paid holiday. My only concern is we just had a Republican deny honoring the EMT that was stabbed, or the paramedic that was stabbed over in Kansas City. He got mad at some of the Democrats and requested that their agenda be pulled off, or their bill be removed off the agenda, excuse me. And it did. And so they, the medic who lost their life, the first responder who lost their life, doesn't get acknowledged. So I'm afraid it's going to get shot down. And also too with the super PACs and the lobbies and everything, they're probably going to shoot down the Liberty. But I'm going to try. I'm getting a lot of support. I've been reached out by some officials. I can't say, yeah, I don't want to scare them away, but I have been contacted who are interested in supporting a bill or a resolution. So I did put a proclamation to the governor, and it's not just Bryce Lockwood who lives in Missouri. So James Lenall, who was on the Liberty, he's from Washington, Missouri, but he died in the first round of the strafing gunfire from the fighter jets. So, like I said, regardless of the conspiracies, it's more about honoring the veterans who lost their lives and the veterans who portrayed great acts of heroism, and they should be honored. And Missouri they're fairly decent at honoring their veterans and service members. So I think it's a long time overdue. I don't think it's too late. It's never too late to honor those who are lost. And to me, it's a special event in history. I do have another guy who was on the Liberty after Bryce's interview went crazy. He reached out to me. So next Saturday, I think I'm going to do a Zoom interview with him and put his video out. So it's pretty exciting. I'm gaining traction now. I mean, if you look at this video and then you look at my very first video I ever made, I've improved a substantial amount. I'm pretty proud of myself. So I'm going to keep on going, and I appreciate everybody for the love and support. And hopefully we can make something of this. So it means a lot to me. Thanks.